Hey everyone, it's Michael from Notefolds, and I'm here today to show you how to make the never-ending card. What's really cool about this card is that it never ends. So when the recipient gets it and they first open it up, they'll be taken to this view, and here's where I'm going to put a message to my recipient. And then they can see they've got a couple of things peeking out there, so they continue to open it to discover more views of this never-ending card. And then they can open it again, and we're taken to this side, and here's where we can write another message or maybe embellish it a little bit more. And then when they open it for the last time, we're back to the front. So as you can see, the card just never ends, hence the name. And it's a lot of fun for the recipient to play with, and it's also a lot of fun to make. So let's go ahead and get started. To make the never-ending card, you'll need 2 pieces of paper that are 6 inches square. And these pieces of paper need to be double-sided. You can see that there is a pattern on the back of both of these. And one other thing I'd like to point out is with this card, you'll have a vertical cut on the front and a horizontal cut on the back. So you can see I chose patterned paper that complements that, so my design won't get cut in half. Had I cut this vertically or this horizontally, these would get messed up. So try to pick pieces of paper that will complement that part of the design. So now let's take the scoreboard and we'll actually score our pages. And we'll start with the horizontally cut pieces, and we need to score these at 1.5, and at 4.5, so there's one part of it done. We'll take the other part of the horizontal page and we're going to place that in there. Let's make sure we orient it correctly. And again, we're going to score that at 1.5. Just make that nice and sharp there. And 4.5. And the reason that we're doing that is because these are actually going to fold in. So in the center we'll end up with a 3-inch square and then 1.5-inch flaps on either side. So that's the horizontal piece. Let's take our vertical pieces now, and we're just going to rotate these. And again, we're going to score those at 1.5 and 4.5. Okay, and then we'll take the last vertical piece, put that in there, and 1.5 and 4.5. Now, if you're not using pattern paper that has a particular vertical or horizontal design, it doesn't really matter because these pages are all going to be scored at 1.5 and 4.5. Okay, let's put those to the side. Now what we'll do is we'll actually fold these on the score line. So I'm going to take my vertical piece first and just fold that on my score line. We're going to make these nice and sharp because as the card is moved back and forth, the never-ending part of the card, these folds are going to get a lot of use. So we want to make sure that they're nice and firm, very sharp. There's one of my vertical pieces. Let's do the other one. And I'm using a bone folder for this just to make sure that I have those creases nice and sharp, because we want the card to be able to open and close very easily. Here's one of my horizontal pieces. Go ahead and do that side. And this side. Okay, so you can see how that closes in as I was talking about. You have that 3-inch part in the middle and then the 1.5-inch flaps on either side. And we'll take the final horizontal piece and bone fold that. Okay, so there we go. Now we have all of our pieces creased and ready to assemble. Now it's time to assemble the 4 pieces, and I'm going to start with my horizontally cut paper. So there's one piece, and let me make sure that's oriented correctly, and there's the other piece. And what we're going to do is we're actually just going to flip these completely over, and you can see that I've put some tape in each of the 4 corners. You should be able to see that up there on the camera. So you can see I've only got it in a 1.5-inch section of the flap, and right here as well. We're not going to put tape here or here because the card needs to be able to open and close as they turn it. So again, let me just turn this over. You can see that I've got my pattern oriented facing up. So when the card is first open, it's going to open like that. And let me flip this over for you. So again, we're just going to put tape in these 4 corners. Now for the vertically cut pieces, we are actually not going to tape those. We're going to lay those down onto the horizontally cut pieces. But we have to do this a little bit differently because of the way when the card is turned, we want to make sure that our pattern lines up. So we actually have to swap these pieces. So normally the pattern lines up like this. This is how the paper originally was. We're actually going to turn it so it's the other way. Because when the card is actually, this will end up being on the back, so when you open it, you can see it's going to turn like that. So that way the pattern is lined up when they open it. Okay, so we're going to grab our horizontally cut pieces that are already taped. There's one, and there's the other. Let's turn those over. So we have the tape facing up, and we have the tape oriented to the 4 corners. And we'll start with one of our pattern pieces. And let's just put this one out of the way for a second. And again, we want to make sure that our pattern is switched. So here's the way the pattern normally looks. We're going to swap that like that. So I'm going to put this into the upper corner. We want to make sure that we line that up perfectly because the card very much depends on the paper being properly lined up. Okay, so there you can see it's all nice and lined up. And let's go ahead and bring our other piece in. This is our other vertical cut piece. And again, we just swapped the pattern here. And we're going to line that one up in the upper corner. Again, making sure that everything lines up perfectly. Because the last thing you want is for this card not to open as it should. Okay? So now we just need to bring in our other horizontal piece, again with the tape oriented down, and let's line up this corner. Make sure everything is perfectly straight. We'll press that down. Okay, and then we just need to press this flap into the other corner. Okay, so now it's fully taped. Let's turn that over, and you can see here's our front with the horizontal cut. Our pattern's all nice and lined up. Then when they open it like this, you can see the other side of that paper, and here's where you can stamp things, embellish, put a sentiment, and then they open it like this, another place to put a stamp. And finally, when they open it like this, you can see now our pattern is lined up. This is our vertically cut piece. Remember how we had that oriented the other way. So I'll show you when we open this back up, we're back to the front. So let's just turn that over. You can see on the back, the pieces are not oriented correctly. When we come back to the front, if we just flip it like that, now they're lined up. So that's why you need to watch the pattern when you put this page together. So I think it's time to go ahead and decorate. So let me do that, and I'll be right back to show you what I came up with. All right, I'm back with my fully decorated card here. And what is important to note about this is that I have a stamp down here, and it's okay that the stamp crosses the fold lines. What you don't want is the stamp to cross the cut lines where the card will actually open up. And I also have an embellishment on the front, and it's okay if the embellishment is on any of the flaps or centerpieces, but you don't want it to cross a fold or a cut line because obviously the card won't be able to open. But it is okay to have embellishments on here. The card should still function just fine. Let's go ahead and open it up. Now in here, this is where I'm going to actually write my message on these 2 blocks here. And what I like about this version of the Neverending card is that you can see we've got something peek in there, so it just kind of entices them to continue to open up their card. And then they'll see, here's a nice embellishment of a butterfly, and then I have a couple of stamps up there. Again, none of this is crossing the fold or cut lines here. And then of course when they open it back out, we've got another page here. And we can do a little bit more embellishing on here. I just only did a stamp on this side, but I might do some more embellishing. And then finally, when they turn it, the last page, we're back to the front. And so they can just continue to move through, read that message again, check out that embellishment, check out the other side, and back to the front. Well, I hope you enjoyed making this card with me. I'd love to see what you come up with, so be sure to post it in the comments below.